wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant, I don't even...
Hey y'all, how we doing? Welcome to episode 63 of the Fourth Down Forum podcast. Now, what are we going to be covering today? I'm glad y'all asked. As many of you know, the NFL the other night dropped their NFL schedule release videos. So that means, or schedules I should say. That means all 32 teams had a chance to, do some videos, drop some hype for before the season starts. So we'll be going over some marquee games that are on the schedule for this year. We'll be going over who I thought had the best schedule release videos and who I thought had the worst schedule release videos. Games I'm excited for, things of that nature. So that said, let's dig into it. We start the season off strong with the NFL season opener, which will be the defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, going up against the Cowboys. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is a home game for the Eagles. I'm hoping they don't have the same fate that, my Ravens had back in the day where their baseball team had a game scheduled at the same time the Ravens would have played. So, and we had to go get our ass kicked by Peyton Manning on the road. That was fun, but I digress. Super Bowl, speaking of Super Bowl rematch. Eagles-Chiefs gonna be in week 2, so that will be an interesting one. And then we get into our slate of international games. So we kick off the international slate with the Kansas City Chiefs against the Los Angeles Chargers. I almost called them the San Diego Chargers there. The interesting thing about this, though, remember, everybody was in an uproar last year because I believe it was Eagles versus Packers that kicked this off. And they were like, oh no, the teams can't wear green. The teams can't wear green. Well, guess what? We don't have to stress that this year because neither team wears green. The Chiefs wear red and white, red and gold, yellow, whatever you want to call it. And the Chargers wear blue and yellow, blue and gold, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah. That will be taking place in Brazil. So, no green drama there. Vikings, Steelers is going to be taking place as the second international game in Dublin, Ireland. So, that will be interesting to see. And then, speaking of the Vikings, they're going back-to-back Jordan 96-97 as they will also be taking on another one of my AFC North foes in the Cleveland Browns in London. So, yeah. Broncos-Jets is also going to be the third international game that's going to be taking place in London. Then we have the Falcons-Colts, which is going to be which is going to be taking place in Germany. Got a little tongue twisted there. And then we wrap up the international game slate with the Commanders and the Dolphins in Spain. So, big market for the international games. Those games are way earlier in the morning. I would sit here and tell y'all, hey, I'm not going to be up for those games. I'm not watching those games, but I will be. Because part of, doing this, doing your pick'ems, things of that nature, we got to watch the footage. We got to see what's what. The NFL Thanksgiving slate. Now, this one's interesting, right? Because we have the Packers and the Lions. Nothing out of the ordinary there. The Lions are one of the marquee teams that usually get the Thanksgiving games. The game that I would say everybody is going to have their eyes on, though, would be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys are always going to get the Thanksgiving game. That's tradition at this point. And I'm not mad at it. Kansas City, Dallas Cowboys, that should be a great game. Everybody's going to be sitting down, going to eat their meals, going to be spending time with their family. Now, let's talk about this one, though. The primetime game. So, the 8 p.m. game is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals coming to M&T Bank Stadium to play the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens, before the schedule came out, I was like, cool, they can't ruin any of my holidays. Wrong. And you'll see why I said that in a minute. They're going to be playing for the first time since 2013, the Baltimore Ravens, that is going to be playing on Thanksgiving for the first time since 2013. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So they have a chance to either make or break my Thanksgiving. Luckily, all the festivities and all that will be done by then. But now we talk about the Black Friday game because, Amazon and their money, there's a Black Friday game now because it's smart if you think about it, because that's like, hey, all these retail companies, we don't want y'all going out there and doing the thing. So if we put a game on here, you could just shop on Amazon and watch from, I get it. Do I agree with it? But that's going to be I have it in my notes here somewhere. Give me a second. Bear with me. You'll see why I said Bears in a minute too. Eagles Bears is your Black Friday game. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously the Eagles, they're going to be featured a lot. They won the Super Bowl. That's the perk you get with winning the Super Bowl. Now, let's talk about the Christmas slate. The Ravens will not be playing on Christmas Day for the third year in a row, which I am happy about, because the first year on the road against the Niners. Last year, I got to go to that game. It was very fun, very entertaining, Got to see Lamar Jackson break Mike Vick's all-time rushing record, or career rushing record in the NFL. So that was interesting. But I think the NFL was like, yo, we're tired of the Ravens kicking teams' ass and playing Grinch on Christmas. So they were like, we're not going to do that this year. So this is your Christmas slate right here, in no particular order. That's funny. I wrote that twice. We have the Dallas Cowboys versus the Commanders. We have the Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings. We have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Denver Broncos. Now, the interesting thing about this, though, Cowboys, Commanders, Lions, Vikings, those are both going to be Netflix games. So there will be, your 3:25 game, and I want to say the other one was like a 6 p.m. game. Probably run it that way. Amazon has the big bread and butter, Chiefs Broncos game. So that will be interesting to see. Now let's talk about my Baltimore Ravens for a minute, because obviously we're going to talk about my team's schedule, right? We talked about some other teams, bada boom, bada bing, what I thought stood out. The Ravens will be opening the season in an away game, Sunday Night Football, against the Buffalo Bills. I called this happening. I was like, you know what? It makes the most sense. We lost to heartbreaking fashion against them in the playoffs last year. I'm not going to say what's going to happen or give my predictions yet. When that comes. That comes once I get into the pick'ems for the NFL, but in due time. But let me say this. The Baltimore Ravens are running a gauntlet these first couple of weeks, because week 2 is the home opener against the Cleveland Browns. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's just the Cleveland Browns, because I could do that. But we all know the Browns always play up to their opponents if it's a division game. And there's always those couple of games the Ravens should win and they don't win. And, the Ravens here, I'm assuming that the starting quarterback to start the season for the Cleveland Browns, I don't think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I don't think it's going to be Dylan Gabriel. I don't think it's going to be Deshaun Watson. I believe it is going to be Joe Flacco. So we're going to get Joe Flacco versus Lamar Jackson. And I say that because, Joe Flacco was the Ravens quarterback for the longest time. Lamar Jackson came in, took over that role. Joe Flacco did mentor him a little bit. I know he said he's not just going to, mentor the kid, but there's footage out there of him being like, okay, it's, So it'll be interesting to see. Week 3, though, this is a game I'm looking forward to. The Baltimore Ravens, I believe this is also a home game if I'm not mistaken, will play the Detroit Lions. First home Monday Night Football game since 2021. And I could go on and I could rant about a story about where I was when the last Monday Night Football game happened, but let's just say this. That game was a thriller. It ended in OT. And, I didn't get to watch all that game, so, the next day I'm like, yo, what happened? Did the Ravens win? Did the Ravens win? Come to find out, Hollywood Brown scored the game-winning touchdown. So, we play the Rams in Week 14, and the reason I say that is because the last time we played them, that game was exciting because Tylan Wallace returned a punt return in overtime to end that game and win that for us. So just, Ravens, if you're listening, if you're watching, make sure they're wearing all purple when we play them, because every time Tylan Wallace wears all purple, something magical happens. The other takeaway I have for the Baltimore Ravens schedule this year, we have an earlier bye week than normally. So normally we have week 14, week 12, maybe week 13 bye week. Our bye week is in week 7 this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We also play the Dolphins on, I want to say Thursday Night Football, if I'm not mistaken. So, looking forward to that. I mean, obviously, I'm looking forward to every game. So, let me go over my notes here. Yep, we covered that. Covered the international games. Covered the season opener. Now, let's talk about who had some of the best schedule releases. I will put this out there right now. When I did the schedule release video last year, I hyped up the Ravens. It wasn't that great. This year, they went a different route. They were creative with it. They did Severance, which, if you've seen it, hey, you know what was happening. If you haven't, you might be a little lost. Production on it was great. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of meme quality material that's going to come out of that. Especially I could see, I'm just going to put this out here right now. If EDC trades for a player for a 5th round pick this year, I'm taking that footage or that gif of him with the baby goats and using that in the response. So, the Chargers, I will say this right now. The Chargers always deliver on their NFL schedule release videos. This year they did Minecraft. It was great. It was great. The Colts also did Minecraft, but took theirs down. They apologized to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill was like, I ain't tripping, and they said Microsoft was the reason they had to take it down, but that's not the truth, because the Chargers didn't have to take theirs down. The Bills used AI, but not the AI you're thinking of. They used the answer, Allen Iverson. And the Falcons had one of my favorite videos from this year. They did ATL Kart, which was a play on Mario Kart. Now let's talk about the worst ones, in my opinion. The New York Giants. What in the blue hell was that? Sorry, let me rephrase that. What in the big blue hell was that? I know what it was. It was Dancing with the Stars, but everybody was just like, this is weird and zesty, which nothing wrong with that, but yeah. The Browns used the wrong AI. They used artificial intelligence. Is that ironic coming from me? A little bit. However, not one of my favorite videos, and is this just an excuse for me to hate on division rifles? Maybe. Another team whose video I did not like was the Cincinnati Bengals. But other than that, yeah, that was the schedule release. So let's talk about some stuff coming up on the channel. What we're rocking with. We've had a lot of new subscribers. I believe when I checked the channel just a few minutes ago, we were at 288. We might, don't quote me on this, I'm still pushing for that 500 number because I don't want to be like every 100 subscribers we're doing a giveaway, because, you know, I want this channel to grow. Not just because I'm doing giveaways, things of that nature. I want it to be, hey, y'all actually enjoy what I'm doing, enjoy the content, things of that nature. I do want to apologize because I was not able to get a Backlash predictions or breakdown video out. So to make up for that, we will be covering WWE Saturday night's main event. Things of that nature. Nope, not things of that nature, sorry. We will be covering Saturday night's main event. I'm working on the match card right now for that, so I can do the prediction video in a timely manner. NBA. We will be doing an NBA Finals video. Once the NBA Finals are set, we'll do a recap of how we got to the finals, what happened, you know, things of that nature. I'm trying to think what else is really going on. Y'all aren't going to see me cover much baseball right now because the Orioles are detrimental for my mental health right now. And normally on the channel, we only cover baseball opening day, All-Star game, World Series if we're able to get to it. Pick'ems will be coming back once we get into season. And I think I've stated this on the channel before. We will be doing NFL like we did last year, as well as collegiate pick'ems. So there'll be 2 episodes coming in the fall. I don't have the exact schedule for that or what days I'm going to post them on, but that will be 2 videos a week coming in the fall. So you'll get a lot more heavier content once we get back into season. Right now, I'm going to, I think we're going to be doing like training camp thoughts or things of that nature. You know, that might not be a podcast format. That might be a YouTube short format where I get on here. I'm like, hey, this is what I thought from Ravens training camp today. Lamar looks sharp. You know, defense could have improved. Defense looks sloppy, vice versa, or they looked great. Other than that, trying to think, what else do we have coming up? SummerSlam's not here yet. We'll be doing a video for that. It's going to be hot and heavy on the wrestling content. I just put a short out. We have been trying to do shorts when like breaking news and stuff comes out for what's it called? NFL, MLB, things of that nature, NBA, collegiate football. Other than that, really, the only thing I have to say is I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate y'all following this journey. You know, I'm trying to get to 300 is the next small step, 300 subscribers. Big step. This is what I want to do full time. You know, I want to make a career out of this. And the only way to do that is to keep grinding, keep going, keep promoting myself, you know, putting content out there for y'all to enjoy. And you know, like I said, schedule release. We'll probably do something for, once I get the date for mini camp, we'll probably do a series on mini camp. Like I said, do a series on training camp. Other than that, NBA Finals, wrestling. I don't think I'm missing anything. You know, we just recently started getting into hockey, so I don't want to cover hockey right now. Maybe I put a video out for that. You know, my Capitals got eliminated, so that wasn't very fun, but whatever. Anyways, appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. We're going to keep grinding. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep making this bigger, better, and better. Much love, and I will see y'all back here for episode 64.
my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000